So this training camp is really important for our riders in their initial preparations for the season, particularly after last year and the changes and challenges we faced. It's the one opportunity in a year to bring everyone together and prepare for the season goals ahead. So our riders have individual goals for this camp that are linked to their objectives for the season and their first races. So those goals are to be ready for their first races, and that will include specific training for the guys preparing for the classics or those that are preparing for the first stage races of the year. In general, they're looking to do between 50 to 60 hours of training. Here we're looking to focus more on climbing, because here we pick a location in Spain where we have options to climb. And for the guys living in countries where that's not possible in the winter, or just they live in flat countries, we focus more on that. So yeah, it's 50 to 60 hours, and the intensity is medium to easier intensity, because we're looking to build their aerobic condition before we start the season. So most riders will have between 3 to 4 training camps in the build up to a Grand Tour, one like this at the beginning of the season, and then perhaps 1 or 2 at altitude, and perhaps one that is involved with actually going to see some of the stages of the Grand Tour. So here at the camp we do some performance testing to give us different parameters that help us to make the training more specific to the riders. So for their threshold test, we do a lactate profile test, and that enables us to work out the individual training zones for the riders. We also do some capacity tests for the sprinters that's more specific to their demands for the races they're preparing for. We have different testing for different demands. So for the time trialists, where aerodynamics is really important, we go to great lengths to take the team of the key riders to the track or to a wind tunnel to understand their aerodynamics of their performance on the bike, and we did that recently here in Spain. So for the time trialists that have specific objectives for the year, they'll go to the track and we'll improve that throughout the year. For other riders that are working on other race demands, then we'll do a different type of testing. So for the sprinters, it'll be more capacity work. For the classics riders, it'll be better understanding their fatigue resistance. So together we try to make the testing more specific to each rider's individual goals. In cycling, we have a lot of technology because the bike is very easy to instrument here. We have power meters, we have cadence sensors, we have sensors that look at the rider's aerodynamics. We even monitor things like their core temperature, their heart rate, and what fuels they're using, all during training. So these things help the coach to better understand the demands placed upon the rider when they're training, to make it more individually prescribed. But the most important thing to realize is that the riders are also humans. So it's not just the technology, it's combining that with the relationship. So coaching isn't just looking at the data, it's also speaking with the rider and understanding how they feel and how they feel their training and performance is going. So with the software and the analysis we do, there's lots of things we look at day by day, but in general we're trying to understand the load placed upon the riders when they're training. And that is the duration, the intensity, the climbing they do, the intervals they do. And any coach is trying to create load or stress in training, which will, in the first part, make the riders fatigued and underperform, but you get a nice response afterwards. So the real skill in endurance sports is providing enough load to get an adaptation or supercompensation in response. So for our riders here, that peaking, that supercompensation is very, very specific to their race goals. So for the Grand Tour riders, it'll be the Giro or the Tour de France, which is still a long way away. For the classics riders, we need to think now to give more load so they can be peaking come the classics in March and then into the spring. So yeah, load is perhaps the main thing we look at. So to know whether we've got it right is a really, really hard one to do. We have lots of data compared to other sports, but in reality, we have a plan, we monitor that plan, so the riders have training and we adjust that. So if a rider is starting to get fatigued and run down and sick and not sleeping well, and we track all these things as well, then we know perhaps the load is too much. If the rider's finding the training easy and their responses are very easy, then maybe we haven't got the load enough. So it's not a perfect science. We're always working through a process of trial and error, but what we always try and do is look back to learn from what we've done. So if someone has a great performance and wins a stage race or wins a stage or wins a classic, that's a great opportunity to look back and see where we went well. Equally, if they underperform, then we look again and say, well, what do we do and did we get the balance right? riders are human beings at the end of the day, and they have families or girlfriends, or they have responsibilities outside of the sport. They sacrifice a lot for what they do. So as a coach working with professional athletes, yes, the human part is really important, and in my opinion it's the most important part. Often in a bike race, physically the top 10 riders might be the same, but the one who has the most mental resilience is mentally prepared and everything is good and positive, they usually end up winning. So as a coach, it's important to maintain that relationship and help give them support in that. And that's just listening to them, really. Listening to their problems, listening to their feedback on training, trying to understand where they get their confidence from, where they build their self-esteem. And that's a real skill. It's not something that you'll read in a textbook. It takes time to build the relationship with the rider. So yeah, it's a really important factor to performance.
The task of a physiotherapist in a pro cycling team, we work in many ways now. First of all, our goal, especially in this training camp and in the beginning of the season, is prevention of injuries. So we assess and test all the riders, doing some testing of strength, mobility, and core stability to avoid further injuries. And then we work with the cyclists also in, for example, yesterday that we went to the track, we can take some information about positioning, and we can work in key muscles and key joints with the riders to improve their positioning. Also in recovery, the recovery of riders during the races, for example, they have to recover as fast and as well as possible. So we try to release or to stretch or to do manual therapy to improve their recovery. So recovery is so important because they have to be in top condition every day, no? So if the muscle is damaged, we have to work on it and try to fix what it is wrong with it, no? That is our role, to try to fix and to solve small injuries and small problems during the races. Physiotherapy is indispensable in cycling because nowadays we are looking after every detail in pro cycling, so riders cannot lose any day of racing due to an injury, and we have to try to solve them as fast as possible. Mainly, I will be focusing in core stability and hip muscles. This is the key region of the body that the rider push a lot with it. So we focus mainly in this area to be as good as possible. For treatments, we use different techniques like stretching, manual therapy, needles sometimes, and also electric tools just to stimulate a little bit the neuromuscular system. Treatments like this, it depends, no? Maybe sometimes with 30 minutes is okay. It depends what the riders need. Sometimes 30 minutes. Other times we just do fixed of 10-15 minutes, or maybe with some other riders that need more, it takes an hour. The riders can use by themselves at home for a prevention work, elastic bands, fit balls to keep the strength and the core stability strong. Well, we see if the rider is recovering well because, as I said before, we do some tests and assess in the beginning of the season, and then we can compare this data with other data during the season. For example, the range of movement of one hip or the strength of a muscle. Most of the times I work closely with doctors and coaches. With doctors, if we find an injury, we talk to them and explain how can we go on with the injury, and they give us some procedures. And with the coaches also to show the riders some exercises to improve their, for example, their position or their strength on the bike.
I started my season like 2 months ago, 1 month later than usual, but it was necessary also to take a good rest after an intense year, no? Like the past one. And I started, as always, with a bit of gym, strengthening exercises. Maybe this year I started earlier with long bike trainings, but also combining with other sports and trying to be active always, especially. Mentally, I think we are always mentally ready, no? Because this is our job, and in the end, when we are on holidays or out of the season for 1 month, I think it's enough for us to disconnect and be ready again, like with hunger for a bike, no? This is a great support for all the team, no? We can make like more exigent works, more volume. Also working in a group helps, no? Like making more hours and stronger competition, simulating a bit the competition situations, no? And after these hard training sessions, we know that we will have all the support of the staff to recover, no? Massage, physio, osteopath, the best food with the chef. So we have everything to just concentrate in our work and do our best. Especially I enjoy like meeting the new members of the team, no? That it's always interesting to meet new people, and also the place, it's so nice to be here, no? After a hard winter at home and training in these conditions, it's a dream for us because we were with a really cold and rainy weather at home. It's gonna be quite similar to past years, and the main objectives are gonna be Grand Tours as always. Trying to go again for a Giro and Tour. Just try to be in the best shape, make a step forward, try to improve my TT skills, and if all this is done, for sure the results are gonna come, and I would like to also prove myself again in a 3-week race.
Yeah, the task of osteopathy in the pro cycling is to help the good condition for the riders, to help them to be in 100% of the capacity, and by this my job is to make the body more free to respond to all the needed of a champion. The osteopathy became important in the sport when they realized that we are really helpful for them. We are like kind of mechanic of the body. So yeah, since the 70s, 80s, we start to be more and more in different sports. The important thing in osteopathy is to be really global, to take care of every single part of the body. For example, if somebody have a knee problem, it can be sometimes due to a crash on the collarbone. Can be strange, but it's like that. The treatment take around from half hour to 45 minutes for every riders, but when they are in really good shape, it can be only 20 minutes because the body is reacting that fast. The equipment I need in my job is my hand and my knowledge. Yeah, sometimes also I need to be aware to go to their house to help them, a part of the training camp, races and so I have to be flexible. Rider is recovering when, like I said before, the body is reacting, is a really fast reaction about the treatment, and we can feel it by how is in good balance or not. From season to season, yes, I can see some improvement about the global posture, about the body is moving from year by year. For example, I have many riders I'm following since years, and I can see that they are more relaxed, more open in the upper part. The better balance globally for the body is, yeah, we can see it. For example, I have an example of riders in the first years. It was that really intention in the upper part with the shoulder like that. The posture was really bad, and now I don't recognize him from the helicopter. So that is sometimes that kind of things, and also they can improve the capacity for breathing. They can improve the capacity for feelings when they have some small injury. So that's it. In time trial is really interesting because in time trial, by the position, by the specific position, and also by the fact they are not doing it too much in the season, it can show some different things. Also, just by the position of the pelvis, they are not like in the ischiatus things, they are more in the pubis, so that can give us more information about the disease they have. Sometimes, for example, they are doing actually some tests in a velodrome in Valencia, and my colleagues send me some videos, and by this I can see some interesting things.
The main concept of the January training camp is to put all the departments of the team, unite them in the one system which will work fluid during all the season. January training camp is the most complex period of the year because we need to bring all 90 staff members and the riders together, organize series of meetings, and align everybody towards the team goals for all the season. Because we are putting baseline here for all next season. So everybody get task. Everybody put their own expertise in the one system, and we are mixing everything in one line, and we are directing everybody towards the mutual goal of riders, but also of our shareholders, and we also need to give clear goals to our performance group, to our coaches, and at the end they are working closely with our riders and preparing them for achievements. We are hungry of racing, we are hungry of winning races. With good communication and coordination between departments. So this is my task and task of the performance director of Roger Hammond. We are coordinating all departments and all requirements that each and every get proper attention and align them in one system, like we said before. Each rider have his own path towards the main goal of the season. Team is the same, but lots of things is changing day by day, and you are aiming that everything will be like we planned, but at the other aspect we are ready to change everything in any moment. So I think this is the biggest challenge of this period. No? You need to be organized, precise, but on the other hand, you need to be flexible. And it's not you, system, 95 people, logistic office, every day changing plan for 35 vehicles, for 28 riders, for 67 staff members. So all logistic movements need to be planned, but at the end everything could change, and we are starting from the next point towards the same goal, but maybe on some different date. So performance is also very tricky in this moment. One team. When we say one team, it's really from external and from internal, and not only between the riders, but also between the staff. What is value of integrating everybody in the one group? It's essential for the future. What we would like to give to the public, it's interesting cycling racing, not boring standard cycling racing, but we are ready to challenge everybody, challenge on original way how to do it, and original look also.